This is a view we haven't seen in a long time. The 91 baby. That's right. We got her running. Oh yeah. Okay, obviously that's a joke, but for kicks and giggles. Oh yeah, nothing. Dead as a doornail. As much as I hate to admit it, I haven't actually been in the 91 in like many months, which is my bad. But I have a renewed sense of vigor. We're gonna get it working. Not today, because today's video is about that thing right there. If you've been following along, we've done a whole lot of work on my 2000 Mustang GT. But even though we've done that, even though we've put some amount of money into it, yeah, we still have some problems. Before we get into that though, thank you so much for joining me. It is a gorgeous day in Texas. 2 days ago, it was 103. Today, it's 73. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not complaining. Without further ado, thank you so much for joining me today. If you're new here, my name's Ethan. Welcome to the garage. This is my 2000 Mustang GT. You see, we have done quite a bit of work to it. It's got a freshly rebuilt motor by yours truly in my garage. We're putting down just about 300 horsepower to the wheels, which by today's standards isn't that impressive, but it's a very fun amount of power. If you've been following along with the latest Save the Stang videos, I think this is number 6 now. We've been going through trying to fix little details on this car that just aren't quite right, and we have done that to a lot of the car. The car looks so much better than it did when we started. The paint actually looks acceptable now. That being said, we've got a lot of work to do. While we've got the hood popped, we had a casualty. This little bracket just decided to break, so the bumper is not on there right, which has caused paint to start chipping off right there. So much for that new paint job on that bumper, but it is what it is. We'll get that fixed. That's just the first of many issues. The sun is blinding me, and I know it's blinding you. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take this conversation somewhere a little shady. So now that we're in the shade, a couple things. First, the startup. Just listen. Doesn't sound as healthy as I want it to. Now the idle does sound good and healthy. The motor's basically new, so I know the motor's fine. Now that brings us to our second issue here: the throw-up bearing. It's squeaking really bad. We have a nice squeak and chatter now coming from the throw-up bearing. It's gotten progressively worse over the time of driving the car. After 600 miles of putting the new engine in, a new clutch, new throw-up bearing, Ford Racing throw-up bearing, after 600 miles it started squeaking. Super annoying because you have to pull the tranny for that. We're probably going to do that this summer and put another new throw-up bearing in there. It's one of those little things. Doesn't affect performance really. It just doesn't sound good. And the more you drive it, the worse it gets. So as the car warms up and I drive it more, the chattering gets super annoying. Now the startup issue can be a little more complicated. Now that it does get worse sometimes on fresh cold starts at the first time of the day. Sometimes we'll even have a misfire, which is really not cool, but it won't do it any other time. But I think I know what's going on with this. So basically, when we tuned the car, it turns out I had a bad idle air control valve on there. We were going through all this debacle with the hanging RPMs. The solution was the IAC restrictor plate, which has been wonderful. No hanging RPMs, car drives great. I love it. It's awesome. The only problem with that is on startups and stuff, I think it kind of inhibits the starting a little bit, if that makes sense. If I take the restrictor plate off, it starts up just fine. It goes to the RPM it's supposed to be at a cold start, and everything is great, but the RPM hangs like crazy. So I'm kind of at a impasse here. Do we want good driving or good starting? That being said, over the summer, we're probably going to do some more tuning on the car, just try to fine tune some things. We replaced the IAC, so we know that's functioning right. I'd love to be able to run it without an IAC restrictor plate. You should be able to tune all that out of it. It's just we need some help from people who have a little more expertise than I do. So we're also getting to that age where we need to start like replacing general maintenance items, ball joints, all that fun stuff, which is on the list. And we have to do something about the steering because there's a lot of play in the steering wheel. I know it might be hard to tell now, but there's a lot of play. Part of that's because we beat the absolute fire out of it when pulling the motor. Lesson learned there. Part of it is just getting old. The rubber bushings are wearing out, so we have to get a new steering shaft. I have one picked out, but yeah, it's expensive. So I'm gonna go over costs at the end of this to see how much it actually is gonna cost to bring this car not to perfection, but just to, I guess, close to perfection. So next, door hinge. Our door hinges are worn out, so you can see the door right here, it's not level, and it pushes up when you close it, which is really annoying, causes wear and tear. I have the door hinge, I just have to replace it. It's kind of an ordeal. It's not the end of the world, so I'm not going to include that in the price. It's like 18 bucks for a new hinge. It was something really easy. Now, among the more serious of issues, we have brakes. Now, whether this is an issue or not, it's pretty much an issue. So we have a really nice squeaking coming from the front passenger side brake. I'm pretty sure it's the caliper. If you recall back when we replaced the brakes a while back, we had some issues with that. We kind of ran the caliper. Probably shouldn't have. We're gonna replace them. It's just taken a little longer than we anticipated. It's very obvious that the thing standing between this car being really good and the way it is now is money. It's money. Interior wise, the car is really solid. And I need a new steering wheel, some other little personal preferences. We're not going to worry about that. Everything is really good on the interior. I'm super happy with it. Yes, I'm going to change pretty much all of it out, but that's going to be like extra stuff. That's not needed to make the car more drivable, if you will. The exterior still needs some work. So we need a new trunk. That's a given. I'm not dealing with that. So we need a new trunk. We need probably a new back bumper because I really don't want to deal with painting anymore. I'm really fed up with it. And of course, the hood. If you've been following along, if you watched one of the last Save the Stang episodes, you know we got a Terminator Cobra hood OEM from 2003 for $80. Needs a little bit of work though, and we need to wrap it because our last attempt failed. So we're gonna get black vinyl so we can get the Termy hood back on here. Also, quite worryingly, we are wondering if there's possible frame damage. You see the gap here, and it's a much bigger gap down here. So we're not sure. We're gonna get it to a frame shop, get them to check it out and see if there is frame damage. Obviously, it's not gonna be enough to total the car. That's very fixable frame damage if it is frame damage indeed. Still though, it's not going to be the cheapest thing in the world, and it's just one of those things that's, you know, it's $1,000 Mustang. It's a setback you expect. We're hoping and praying it's not, but that does really concern me. We can't forget about the heater core too. This car has no heater right now because the heater core is in really bad shape. So our heater hoses are all like looped up and all weird, not actually going into the heater core. So we have to do that, which involves removing the entire dash and taking things apart, which is why it hasn't been done yet. Also in Texas, it's really hot, so there's like 2 weeks out of the year where we need it. That's one of those things though, it needs to get fixed. If we want this car to be almost perfect, or as perfect as we can make it, we've got to bite the bullet. We've been talking about it for a while. We really need new suspension really badly. So the deal with the car right now, we have BBK lowering springs, but we are still on the factory 198,000 mile struts, which it looks really nice, but the performance is it's not there anymore. So we're going to do a full coilover conversion on the car, which is going to be pricey, but it's going to make it handle much better, ride much better. The goal is to be able to take this car on the track when we get it all done, do road courses with it, but we're in no way, shape, or form capable of doing that with the current setup. So coilovers are definitely happening, hopefully over the summer. All right, I'm gonna list some things off really quick just to get them out of the way because there is a lot that we have to do on this car. So the cowl, we need new cowl, wheels and tires. We need new wheels and tires. Headlights, we're gonna make some really cool headlights for this car. I want something that's kind of out of the ordinary, but still really classy. Gearing, we are putting 373 gearing in the car. We already have the gearing, we just have to install it. That's one of those things. It's coming over the summer. It's gonna be no big deal. We're getting a new steering wheel for the car because the steering wheel is in bad shape. Along with that, we're gonna get carbon fiber dash panels in a lot of the places. We're having some cracking issues with dash panels. It's getting to be, shoot, 22 years old. So carbon fiber replacing a lot of the interior of the car. We're probably going to replace the seats because this tear right here is super annoying. Also, I want something that's a little bit more track focused yet comfortable at the same time. We are going to get new tail lights to update the rear end of the car just a little bit. And there you have it. That is pretty much everything that we need to do to this car to get it not perfect, but in really good, almost show quality. Now with that, we're gonna head back to the house. We're gonna add up the numbers. I'm kind of nervous. I think this is gonna be really expensive. So, it's a lot of money. So I added up everything on a spreadsheet, between throwout bearings to the ball joints. I added a few little extra things in there that are obviously not going to be a priority when we see how much this costs. Grand total, $8,532. Bought this car for $1,000. So needless to say, we're gonna have to be creative with this, and a lot of this isn't gonna happen for years down the road. This $8,500 or whatever is gonna be spread out over years. So the goal of this car is not to make money on it. If we sold it now, we could make money on it, but we don't want to sell this car ever. We want to keep this forever, so we want it to be nice. Yeah, $8,500. Give it $2,000 of that I put for wheels and tires. So do we actually want to put this $8,500 in the Mustang? Yes and no. I want all these parts, but $8,500, that's a heck of a lot of money. But one thing at a time, just like how we built a motor. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. It's time for me to go earn $8,500 somehow. So thank you so much for watching. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers, which is super awesome. I'm so thankful for each and every one of you. And with that, y'all have an awesome week, a beautiful day. Keep it classy, and I'll catch y'all very soon.